Joe Biden came out this week and announced that if he's elected, he will kill the Keystone XL Pipeline project. Now, before I get to more details on this and also my thoughts on if I actually believe Joe Biden, let me give you a little primer here on what the Keystone XL Pipeline is. So if built, Keystone XL would transport 830,000 barrels of oil per day from Alberta to Steel City, Nebraska, where it would then connect to the company's existing network, shipping Western Canadian crude to U.S. Gulf Coast refineries. The pipeline is expected to be operational in 2023. The cross-border section between Saskatchewan and Montana has now been built. Environmentalists said the project would disturb fragile ecosystems and increase the risk of oil spills, while some Native American groups said it would harm their ancestral lands. Conservatives said the project would provide jobs and inexpensive energy and argued that it carried little risk. Yes, little risk. Now, I'll get to that part in a minute, but the idea that we should build new pipelines when we all as a society globally are moving away from fossil fuels, I think is just crazy. But little risk, right? Little risk. Yes. Looking at this little risk here, since 1986, there's been about 9,000 significant pipeline-related incidents all across the U.S. This is just U.S. data. And this is data from Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. And it doesn't count the thousands of less so-called significant pipeline-related malfunctions. So these are just the major pipeline-related incidents. And it's about 9,000 of them between 86 and 2016. And also, of course, some recent ones. Leak in Keystone Pipeline spills 9,000 barrels of oil in North Dakota. It's the second significant spill in the Keystone system since 2017, when around 4,700 barrels spilled in South Dakota. But don't worry, at least it wasn't 10 times worse than that, except that it actually was. So later on in the month, from CNN, the latest Keystone Pipeline oil leak is almost 10 times worse than initially thought. So, seeing it as how dangerous a new pipeline would be, Joe Biden appears to be taking the correct position. So, this is from his statement. Biden strongly opposed the Keystone Pipeline in the last administration, stood alongside President Obama and Secretary Kerry to reject it in 2015, and will proudly stand in the Roosevelt Room again as president and stop it for good by rescinding the Keystone XL Pipeline permit, Biden campaign policy director Steph Feldman said in a written statement to Politico. Now, while this is 100% the correct position, I know a lot of people are watching this and thinking, but Joe Biden lies all the time. And indeed he does. He lied about his history when it came to Social Security. I mean, that last debate with Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden lied over and over and over again about his history on Social Security. Joe Biden also lied about being involved in the civil rights movement, making up stories that he was never involved in. He also lied about being arrested in South Africa, and this is just all in the last 6 months. So there are many more lies. I am just scratching the surface here. But the difference with this is that Obama did put an end to the Keystone XL Pipeline project with Joe Biden as VP. So Biden taking this up wouldn't be all that crazy. It would simply be doing what Barack Obama did that Donald Trump reversed. But the question is, can Biden actually stop it even if he wants to? So this from Max Fawcett. He's a former editor of Alberta Oil Magazine. Yes, that's a thing. He tweeted out, "Here's a free piece of advice to the war room when it comes to Biden's position on Keystone XL. Be quiet. Say nothing. Here's why. Come January, if he's inaugurated, construction will already be underway. It would almost certainly create massive legal liability if the U.S. government were to post hoc cancel the presidential permit. That gives Biden a clear out. He wanted to do the right thing, but Trump screwed it up. It also gives him an obvious win-win here. He can campaign on canceling Keystone XL while knowing he doesn't have to do it, unless, of course, you force his hand. So, don't." Now, reading this, it's fair to think that this is all just theater for Joe Biden. And he's saying, yes, I'm going to cancel the Keystone XL Pipeline, even though he knows that he wouldn't be able to. Except there appears to be disagreement on this. So this from the Calgary Herald. "Partial construction is not likely going to stop Biden from pulling the project's permit," said James Coleman, an expert in U.S. pipeline law and a professor at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. The power to issue or revoke a presidential permit is sweeping. It gives Biden plenty of latitude to withdraw it, said Coleman, who previously did work for TransCanada, now TC Energy, on the main Keystone Pipeline. So I'm more inclined to believe that Biden can, in fact, stop the Keystone XL Pipeline if he wants to, if he's telling the truth here. And understanding that, Biden's going to feel pressure from groups like the Sunrise Movement to actually cancel it, to at least, at the very least, do what he said he was going to do during the campaign. This is one very narrow, very rare situation where I actually do think Biden is telling the truth. And largely it's because Barack Obama already did this. So again, this is not really, it's not that crazy to think that Joe Biden would just do exactly what Barack Obama already did. And also because this project is already being held up in the courts. So the Trump administration is currently appealing a ruling from a federal judge in Montana earlier this month that blocked construction of the pipeline because of an insufficient environmental review. So this is one rare situation where I actually do believe Joe Biden, and I think taking all this information in, I think he would stop the Keystone XL pipeline if he becomes president.